Biafra, the war that changed Nigeria. Season 1, Episode 3, The Coup That Shook Nigeria. January 14, 1966. Across Nigeria, life appeared normal. Markets bustled, families gathered around evening meals. Government officials prepared for another day of politics. Yet unknown to most Nigerians, a group of young military officers believed the nation was heading toward disaster. Corruption allegations were growing. Political tensions were rising. Regional rivalries had deepened. And in secret locations across the country, plans were already underway that would change Nigeria forever. Before dawn arrived, gunfire would echo through the nation's history. Only 6 years after independence, many Nigerians were losing faith in their political leaders. Election controversies had damaged public trust. Accusations of corruption dominated newspaper headlines. Across the regions, political rivalries intensified. Many citizens feared that Nigeria's young democracy was beginning to crack. To some military officers, drastic action seemed necessary. They believed they could save the nation. But history would remember their decision very differently. Among the officers planning the coup was Major Chukwuma Kaduna Nzeogwu, young, brilliant, highly respected. He and his fellow officers believed Nigeria needed radical change. They accused politicians of placing personal interests above the nation's future. Their solution was military intervention. But once events begin moving, history rarely follows the original plan. In the early hours of January 15th, the operation began. Soldiers moved through the darkness. Military vehicles rolled through sleeping cities. The first targets were powerful political leaders. The coup had begun, and Nigeria would never be the same again. Several prominent leaders were killed during the coup. Among them were Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa and Northern Premier Ahmadu Bello. News spread rapidly. Shock gripped the nation. Fear followed close behind. Many Nigerians struggled to understand what had happened. By sunrise, rumors flooded the country. Radio stations carried breaking news. Families gathered around radios. No one knew exactly who was in control. Some celebrated, others feared civil war. Nigeria stood at a crossroads. Although several leaders had been removed, the coup did not succeed nationwide. Many military commanders refused to join. Resistance emerged. The plotters quickly discovered that controlling a nation was far harder than overthrowing a government. As confusion spread, Major General Johnson Aguiyi-Ironsi stepped forward. Calm and respected, he moved quickly to stabilize the country. Soon, he became Nigeria's first military head of state. Civilian rule had ended. Military rule had begun. The aftermath of the coup created deep suspicion. Because many of the coup leaders came from one region while many of those killed came from another, dangerous narratives began to spread. Trust between communities weakened. The political crisis became increasingly ethnic in perception. The consequences would be devastating. The coup lasted only hours. Its consequences would last generations. The events of January 15, 1966, shook Nigeria's foundations, and they set in motion forces that would eventually lead to counter-coups, violence, and ultimately the Nigerian Civil War. The story was far from over, it was only beginning. History is often shaped by moments that last only a few hours. The January 1966 coup was one of those moments. What began as an attempt to change Nigeria's future ended up changing it forever. The lesson from history is simple. Nations are strongest when disagreements are resolved through dialogue, understanding, and unity rather than violence. In our next episode, we'll uncover the revenge coup of July 1966 and how Nigeria moved even closer to the brink. Like this video. Subscribe for more episodes of Biafra, the war that changed Nigeria. Follow us on YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook. Comment below. Could Nigeria's leaders have prevented the events of 1966?